Breaking news here at 5:30. Brooks Houck files to appeal his murder conviction in the death of Crystal Rogers. The mother of 5 disappeared in July of 2015 and is presumed dead. Houck, along with Steve and Joseph Lawson, were found guilty in their trials in connection to Rogers' murder last year. Houck was Crystal's boyfriend when she disappeared. Now, the filing cites several reasons for the appeal, including the Commonwealth not being able to prove a murder happened, where the murder scene was, and no physical evidence linking Houck to the crime. It also cites that some potential jurors had prior knowledge of Steve Lawson being found guilty of his charges weeks before Houck's trial started. Now, other things listed in the appeal: Joseph Lawson's trial being combined with Houck's, and Judge Charles Sims refusing to recuse himself from the case. Houck's team had cited past comments that Sims made about Houck during a custody battle years before the trial. To see more about the Rogers case, just go to wave3.com.